She's risking her life for her dreams, making a short film at Ardman whilst living with vascular Ehlers-Danlos syndrome by Sage Justice. This profoundly personal article was written by Sage Justice with permission by Gracie Justice. If you've ever fought to make your dreams come true, this piece is for you. May is Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome Awareness Month. Please read and share this article with anyone you know who has ever had a dream or suffers from chronic illness or pain and refuses to give up or give in to defeat. Thank you for your kindness, compassion, and support. It's greatly appreciated. Sage Words is a reader-supported publication. To receive new, compelling posts and support my vulnerable work, please consider becoming a paid subscriber. Your financial contributions go directly to supporting the courageous and talented artist, Gracie Justice. Immunocompromised. The immunocompromised can't afford to take a single exposure to the public for granted. Every crowd, from the bus to the bank, from the mall to the market, to the elevator, canteen, plane, or train, is a threat in which she has to weigh its worth against her own. While her mates are going out to the pubs or movies on weeknights, or concerts and festivals on the weekends and holidays, she spends nearly every non-waking hour in recovery from the exhaustive nature of day-to-day living with health challenges. In addition to the safety precautions she embraces to protect her health when engaging with the public, it's also her natural inclination to communicate on deeper levels beyond surface conversations. She prefers connecting one-on-one to socializing in large groups. Her peers gather together in community for meals and creative experiences while she's eating in the garden alone or working in a room where she can keep a window or door open for airflow, a safety measure against illness. Not only does she have to navigate the unseen germs, but so too the misunderstood opinions of others as to why she spends so much time away from them. While many people are kind, compassionate, and supportive, others take her absence as a personal rejection of them instead of the embrace for survival it is for her. They have no idea that she's risking her life for her dreams. She cannot afford to risk it for their approval, too. Whilst they're gathered as a group socializing in crowded spaces, unmasked and speaking too close to faces, she's shielding herself from the errant, unprotected cough, the contagious sneeze, and the infected surface. If she leaves a door open for airflow, it makes the environment safer for her, but at times more uncomfortable for others. If it's too hot, too cold, too windy, rainy outside. She's constantly between the rock of taking care of her health needs and the hard place of not being an inconvenience to others in doing so. The most thoughtful person in the room can be judged as being inconsiderate in an attempt to simply consider their needs in addition to everyone else's. Learning to live with being misunderstood is an occupational hazard of those with chronic illness. Discreet disclosure. She reveals her medical conditions on a need-to-know basis because sharing doesn't always mean other people will be caring. Bessel van der Kolkata, MD, makes a powerful point in his book, The Body Keeps the Score, when he writes, "Talking about painful events doesn't necessarily establish community, often quite the contrary. Families and organizations may reject members who air the dirty laundry. Friends and family can lose patience with people who get stuck in their grief or hurt. This is one reason why trauma victims often withdraw and why their stories become rote narratives, edited into a form least likely to provoke rejection. It's an enormous challenge to find safe places to express the pain of trauma." End quote. Compassion fatigue is very real in our society, especially with the heightened drama of the fast-paced news cycle. Everyone seems is overwhelmed and stressed out. As Paul Fussell wrote, quote, "No one is very interested in the bad news you have to report," end quote. Adding to this is the cultural and medical stigma that if you talk too much about your pain, you must be doing so to get attention, or that you are neurotic, or that your illness is your only identity, and therefore all you can talk about. But as Karen Duffy, author of the books Model Patient and Living with Chronic Pain Without Turning Into One, so eloquently coined, quote, "Concealing an illness is like keeping a beach ball underwater," end quote. And the following section, the aforementioned section that I just read, was actually from a piece I wrote for The Mighty about 10 years ago, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, somewhere around there, and I do link that in this piece. What's the risk? The common cold that slows their roll for 4 days can turn into a dangerous case of RSV and knock her down for 4 weeks. When they get the flu, they only need a day or two of rest, and they can push through it and still work while symptomatic. When she gets the flu, it can turn into a life-threatening sepsis and holiday. Hospital stay, holiday, I wish. The average person has an allergic reaction and it inconveniences them. She has an allergic reaction and it flattens her. Quote, "A ship is safe in harbor, but that's not what ships were made for," end quote. She has a dream and the talent and skill set worth investing in, but to do so, she takes great risks that most people will never understand. What causes this? She didn't inherit just one genetic disorder, vascular Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, VEDS for short, a heart and connective tissue disorder, but so too the comorbidities associated with it, like mast cell activation syndrome, which is MCAS for short, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which is POTS for short, Raynaud's syndrome, and gastroparesis, to name the current stars on the marquee of chronic offenses, with a special guest appearance by a bleeding disorder that requires treatments that are not always easy to find or afford. POTS. Throughout the day, POTS, a multi-system disorder of the autonomic nervous system, grabs her heart, makes it race, and squeezes it into tachycardia. This can come from something as seemingly benign as an electrolyte imbalance brought on by a room that's too hot. POTS can knock her to the ground if she stands too long, pulling her blood into her feet and making her faint and foggy in the brain. Raynaud's syndrome turns her fingers 2 different colors from reduced blood flow as a result of small arterial spasms. Some fingers become white, then blue, and can feel freezing, and others are red and hot, leaving her hands and feet blotchy and clammy, dripping with sweat, and sometimes numb. Every food choice, ideally, takes into consideration the balance of blood sugar, electrolytes, potassium and magnesium intake, whilst monitoring histamines and managing gut microbiome and ferritin levels. No choice is made lightly without great consequence. Gastroparesis. Gastroparesis not only can cause paralysis to the stomach muscles, preventing them from digesting food, but so too spasms, preventing the stomach from receiving food. Living with gastroparesis requires a hypervigilance, not just around what and when she eats, but so too how she exercises. As a child, she was playing with a friend in a home gym, swinging from a rope with the others, just having fun, being a kid and using her stomach muscles like the rest of the girls. However, when they got off the rope, the other girls' muscles relaxed, whereas hers continued to contract involuntarily for over 24 hours. These spasms can cause relentless vomiting that can throw off electrolytes so quickly that it can actually lead to death. Her maternal great-grandmother had gastroparesis spasms that led to hours of uncontrollable vomiting and an electrolyte and potassium imbalance that caused her to flatline. She died for 3 minutes on the table in an emergency room as a result. She was brought back to life with a defibrillator and chest compressions. Her paternal grandmother died of complications related to gastroparesis that prevented her from the ability to take in and keep down nourishment. That was just this year. MCAS, mast cell activation syndrome. MCAS is when the white blood cells designed for immunity begin to malfunction and release an excessive amount of chemical mediators. I don't really know what that means. It's just that this can lead to severe recurrent reactions of allergies, including life-threatening anaphylaxis, the inability to breathe. This is in part how she was diagnosed. She stopped breathing after a single bite of egg when she was just a year old. Every being needs to eat. Imagine if this basic utility of living were something you had to navigate with a magnifying glass day in and day out just to survive. Since she was a toddler, she has had to carry Benadryl, EpiPens, and a fast-acting asthma spray inhaler on her person wherever she goes. When you have MCAS, it can feel as if you're allergic to the world. A food that was safe yesterday is no longer safe today. Nothing feels safe enough to eat when everything can cause an allergic reaction. The food and environmental allergies brought on by MCAS are endlessly exhausting. It's a miracle that she is able to manage it all and that she does so with an incomparable joy and love of life. Her friends spend their evenings at parties while her evenings are spent in peaceful sound baths to regulate her nervous system, medicinal foot soaks, and cool showers to wash off allergens. Living with MCAS is load after load of laundry and special fragrance-free soaps that sanitize without removing the helpful bacteria that we need. Her sleep is not her own. It's shared with interruptions that can take hours to tame. The allergies of the day, from food that was labeled safe, snow flurries of pollen in the springtime breeze, and unexpected reactions from materials she uses to craft the world she lives in, wake her in fits of coughs and sneezes that keep tissue boxes in business. When not even 2 hours of sleep per night can be guaranteed to face a full day of work or school, it's no wonder her evenings, weekends, and holidays are spent resting in recovery. VEDS, vascular Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. When you have hypermobile vascular Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a painful connective tissue disorder that can impact every area of the body, not only do you live with the risk of sudden death from organ rupture and an awareness of a shortened life expectancy, but a normal step can lead to a twisted ankle. Sleeping in the wrong position can dislocate a hip, and a knee can declare inflamed pain just because it's Tuesday. Each article of clothing or shoe is bought with function first versus fashion. Comfort and support are required. She was born with a mild clubfoot. Her first podiatrist said she was the youngest patient at age 9 that he had ever diagnosed with plantar fasciitis, common for those who have known foot freedom and now require arch support to get through each day, uncommon for a child who just wants to run and play in a forest with fairies, but whose feet can ache with every step. Imagine living with throbbing foot discomfort since childhood. Yet she never lets her pain stop her from dancing and celebrating the gift of life and living. She turns the light of magic on in every room she enters. Her spirit is indomitable to balance the fragility of her body. Management. When others splurge on a new experience, gadget, or novelty, her resources go to paying for dozens of supplements, medications, and medical management. Her routines are built around powders, pills, special teas, and fresh herbs to heal. She embraces yoga and Reiki, prayer, positive thinking, music, meditation, and communing with nature to control the controllable. Creams, braces, and medications are her bedside companions, but so too positive pieces of inspiration that keep her going. Medications, supplements, and wellness routines are the tools the chronically ill use to mend and repair from the damage of living. Most people can push through pain and discomfort to get the job done. Very few can push through weakness and fatigue. 3 months from a deadline, she has to consider stopping herself from going anywhere where she might catch something that could take her 3 months to heal from. Everything from big events she's always wanted to attend to the minute maintenance of life, haircuts, doctors, or dentist visits, all become a calculated risk. Being immunocompromised can be a lonely existence when the people you come in contact with have the power to kill you with a cold. She surrounds herself with a few safe people, her parents and chosen family, who she can trust to also guard what they come in contact with in order to protect her. Unfortunately, some people who don't understand her complex medical history have chastised her for having a close relationship with her parents, and not others who are unable to offer the same level of needed support. Someday she will have a family of her own to surround herself with, to love, protect, and be devoted to. Maybe those people will be chosen family, friends, or others like her. Her own children, who knows? For now, she's got us. She's got me by her side, her mom, to support her as best as we can, and keep her company during periods of self-isolation that she has to endure in order to stay well. I can't imagine how she would have been able to manage on her own that first month here when she got so sick, and the ambulance came and we went to the hospital twice, and without knowing anyone here, I don't know who would have been able to get her the medicines, get her to the doctor, feed her. Like, these were things she was so sick she could not have done herself. If she risks her life for her dreams, she's condemned for doing so. If she doesn't risk her life for her dreams, she's condemned for doing so. No matter what choice she makes, she's labeled a victim for being a survivor. Invisible illness can lead to feeling invisible in life. Artistry. Gracie Justice is a young stop-motion filmmaker who is afflicted with multiple health challenges. She was one of 12 global students chosen to make a short film at Ardman Academy in Bristol, England. She is currently in her final 3 months of the filmmaking process, and she can use the power of your belief in her. Please join me in visualizing her healthy, happy, and finishing her film strong. This is more than just a dream for her. It's her pursuit of a livelihood, her ikigai, that Japanese concept, that what she does best and most enjoys, that also protects her health and serves humanity, and that she can make a living from. It's that. Her career choice serves her health as it's primarily solitary, with occasional opportunities to connect and bond in a community with others who do the same. She loves the combination of creative expression mixed with meditative aspects of being a stop-motion filmmaker. Her art is her activism. The name of her stop-motion film is Awin. For those reading, it's pronounced Awin, Awewin, as in awe will always win. From Welsh mythology, Awin is the inspired human, the muse, the magic that turns creative thought into creative expression. It's intended to be a 7-minute audio-visual experience of relaxation. A movie that feels like poetry calling you back to yourself, reminding you of the magic within, the Awin within. She's made the puppet, the set, and the costume by hand. It's magical and beautiful. Awin is the spirit of my daughter herself, the best of each of us within. And if you're reading this, you'll see a beautiful picture that's part of her animatics. I don't know if I'm saying that right, for the film, and it gives a description, which I will just leave for you to scroll through and read. Support. She needs support to live her life and thrive. Living with these health challenges is not always this dire and dramatic, but she's been playing catch up from day one. Shortly after leaving her life in the USA behind to move to a new country in the UK, she caught a common cold that quickly developed into RSV, respiratory syncytial virus. I'm not sure I'm saying that right. In February, that illness set her back about a month in the filmmaking process. She was just beginning to recover in March when April hit her hard with severe allergies and the constant threat of a super flu going around in the local area. Throughout it all, she's faced housing insecurity on a monthly basis. In May, rental laws in the UK changed, providing short-term rentals. We are hopeful that we will be able to secure our housing in the next few days for the remaining 3 months we are here in the UK, but it has really been a challenge. The hardest part for her hasn't been any one of these single challenges over the other, but it's all these factors combined. It's just been relentless. She's not just risking her life. She's building her life. She's creating the life of her dreams. These disorders do not define her, but they are a hindrance. In a race that most people only need run, she has to jump hurdle after hurdle. How to help? To make visible is to take the time to see, to care, to notice what others do not, to be present. When tempted to judge, embrace curiosity instead. Hold humility in place of certainty when ascribing motive to the actions of others. There's so much we don't understand. Life is so much easier when we can just be kind. We make people feel loved when we take the time to truly see and hear them, all of them, the parts that suffer in silence and the parts that celebrate in song. Unconditional love is showing up with presence and sharing life together, committed, come what may. How loving our world would be if we were all more devoted to one another and truly understood our shared humanity. If you see someone suffering, you can say, "How can I help support you? I know you might not feel well or feel like talking about how you're feeling. I want you to know that I can see you. I can see you're going through a challenging time, and I'm here if you need me." As my grandmother used to say, where there's a will, there's a way. Remember that no one feels like being vulnerable with someone they feel judged by. It's hard to feel safe around someone we can't trust. Be an ally. Be trustworthy, helpful, and loyal. Look for ways to be of service. Trust that what you give to others without strings attached comes back to you as a blessing you never expected. A friend has offered to do a GoFundMe for us, but I just don't feel comfortable with that. And some other people have asked how they can help financially. So my daughter helped. I don't know how to do this technical stuff. Put in, I guess it's a QR code, a button for the Cash App for direct deposits. But there's 3 options below, including there's the Buy Me a Coffee, but they take 22%. And there are subscriptions, and Substack takes a percentage of that as well. So there's some options here. And of course, buying my book or listening to it and giving it lovely 5-star reviews, telling people about it on Goodreads. All of these things help. Ideally, I just want to make a living from the work that I do. So returning to the article, here are 10 related pieces on the topic of living with an invisible illness, chronic pain and fatigue, the management of medical conditions in the face of misjudgments, and how we can all do better in healing ourselves and supporting one another. So if you want to scroll down and just see the bottom, there are links, but here are the 10 titles. 1, What's Wrong with Her? Vascular Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome. It's just a piece I wrote, a brief piece about living with this condition, which I also have. 2, How to Be Heard When It Feels Like No One Wants to Hear About Your Pain. And that's a piece I wrote for the Mighty years ago. 3, On the Spectrum of Healing. Kind of how we can see ourselves in others instead of defining ourselves by disease. 4, The Good Doctor. There's a wonderful doctor who really helped my daughter and I. Number 5, How to Heal from Almost Anything. These are just the tips and tricks that I have learned from living with this for over half a century. 6, Solidarity over Charity. A way to look at the world and each other as in a vertical way versus a horizontal way of charity, a vertical way of solidarity. Truly, we will all have an opportunity to be humbled by life, whether through disability, poverty. There's so many ways that we can experience loss. And we will each have the opportunity in this lifetime to help another. And we will each have the opportunity in this lifetime to receive help from others. And that's what that piece is. I'm really proud of it. And I hope that you'll read it. It's short. Number 7, Your Soul Chose This. That is a piece I wrote about being told that my whole life. Oh, you're sick because your soul chose this. Well, you read that and you can find out what my opinion is on that. Number 8, The Ambulance Came, about our experiences after we first arrived to the UK. Number 9, a poem entitled They Stole Her Joy, but I think the subtitle is something like And How She Gained It Back. And number 10, a poem entitled Maturity, award-winning poem that I'm proud of, and that I consider a blueprint for humanity, how we can do better. After I witnessed an unknown poet have her work usurped, I was given the legal advice to place the following copyright date and statement on all my work. This concept theory poem is original to Sage Justice. Copyright May 1st, 2026. If you use it, please give credit and link to original work. Thank you. My website is sagewords.org, and this, of course, is sagejustice.substack.com. All of my work is original, unless otherwise noted, and written by Human Intelligence, HI, trademark. This is an artificial intelligence free zone. Finally, there's a picture of my daughter, Gracie Justice, and her mom. That's me, Sage Justice. I love that picture. There is a little bio of me that says Sage Justice award-winning poet, author, critically acclaimed performing artist, and intensely sincere, bold humanitarian activist. She also lives with all the aforementioned medical conditions as her daughter, which require an average of 5 hours a day of medical management. If you appreciate this publication, Sage Words, but are unable to afford a subscription, please consider choosing the Buy Me a Coffee button when you can, although they do take 22%. Or a paid subscription is better, or a direct gift to the Cash App is best. Every little bit helps. Nobody likes to be in a position of need, but I truly believe in community and in supporting artists, and especially people who are brave and have to fight insurmountable odds just to live like a typical person is in the world. There's also some links here to my book, Freedom, which is available in hardcover and also available in Audible form, wherever you find your Audible books. And there's some lovely 5-star reviews. And I also have a YouTube channel that's a little kind of defunct right now. Not really. I mean, I'm trying. And once we get a little bit more situated here, I intend to go back to it. I think I'd like to go back to that more than anything else right now. So I'd love for you to subscribe and support. And if ever I say anything that rubs you the wrong way, please don't leave. Stick around. That's the way it goes. Sometimes the people who inspire us also trigger us. But I'm a good person and I love humanity and I love humans, and I appreciate your support very much. So thank you so much for listening. Take care.